Here's the recap last night. The winners, Tucker and Trump. The losers, Eddie Haskell, Vivek, or Vic, as I call him, Ramaswamy, and the entire GOP group. It was absolutely incredible. Vivek is a spoiled, petulant, sarcastic, rude, contumacious, Eddie Haskell, smartass. Great for the internet, great for a troll society, great for a bunch of people who would like to sit back and just like people to be nasty and snarl. People who loved Trump when he was making fun of people, which I never did because that hurts him politically. But we live in a world today where people are jerks. And if you act like a jerk, if you act like a smart ass, that's what people want. The winners were Tucker and Trump. We're going to talk all about that today, my friends. We're going to go through this, and I'm telling you, I'm going to make no friends with the usual, my fellow types, because let me explain something to you. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. There are people who say, I have a social media stand, whatever it is. It's a platform, it's a YouTube channel, it's a Rumble channel, whatever it is. And I've gotten certain people that I know who are going to be watching me. And I've got people who enjoy what I'm doing. And there are people who come to expect this from me. And I recognize that fact. And I'm going to say whatever I have to say to make sure I don't do anything to dissuade or to bother them. I don't want to lose them. So I am going to say that which we kind of agree with. Next, I know nothing about history. I know nothing about elections. I do know about this kind of a Yelp world of, what do you think, the ratings, who won, who lost, who was a bigger jerk, that kind of stuff. They're very good at that. So consequently, they will say that Vivek won because, I guess, maybe because he was a jerk and was grinning like a fool. And I kept thinking to myself, imagine him sitting across from Xi Jinping, who has no expression, that flat affect. Let's see what Vivek does. Do you want that kid, billionaire or not, negotiating nuclear weapons? Does he, when you meet him, let's say you're sitting across from him, listen carefully. Is this somebody where you think, uh-oh, better watch this guy, don't sell him short? Or does this sound like somebody who's in it, who's just here for the beer? You know what I mean? Somebody who's there just because of some other reason. Now, you may not like this. You might say, and the question is, what do you like? What do you like? Okay, fine. If I opened up a restaurant and you ask me, what do I like? The stuff that I like, I wouldn't put into a restaurant if I wanted to make money, because the questions are completely different. Not what do I like? What is commercial? What is viable and the like? So let me stop right there. Let me tell you, first of all, please do me a favor. I got to ask you to subscribe to this. We need more subs. Some of you folks are not. Yeah, I don't know why. Some of you have not subscribed. You also have to like this and subscribe, as I pretty much said. You also have to hit the notification bell so that you're always hip to what's going on. Also, remember, you can go to lionelmedia.com to subscribe to my uncensored, culturally inappropriate channels. I just did one about my version of this in ways that I can be a little more brutal. For example, in order to talk about Nikki Haley, you've got to talk about her being a woman. You've got to. How does she stand above? Some of the stuff I say about that, which is brutally correct and true, I wouldn't want to say here. There are other racial components, gender components, age components, things which are absolutely part and parcel of how the country views people. I wouldn't want to say that here, but I say it on my private channel. Why? Because it's real. It's that simple. And let me also tell you something, and I'm telling you right now, my Patriot Supply is our sponsor. And I'm going to say this. There was a time a while back when people would think that, my God, if you're a prepper, you're just a lunatic. You know, you must be into the black helicopters or whatever. If you aren't freaked out by what is happening to our world now, everywhere from Southern California to Northern California, to the fires there, to Washington State, to the fires in Canada, causing the skies of New York to be orange, to hurricane season coming up, to earthquakes, to East Palestine, to Lahaina, and you ain't seen nothing yet? If you aren't freaked out about what would you do if your area, all of a sudden, stores were closed because of supply chain problems, because somebody somewhere freaked out, because of a run, because who knows why. We live in a world where people ran out of toilet paper during COVID, and you didn't need toilet paper for COVID. My Patriot Supply, these are 3-month emergency food kits. This is 120 pounds of packaged food, resealable, heavy duty, 120 pounds, 6 rugged water-resistant buckets for 90 days, 3-month supplies, a 25-year shelf life. And you save $200 right off the bat. Look, you've got the link right there. My preparewithlionel.com is the link. Preparewithlionel.com. Remember that, preparewithlionel.com. I don't know how to say this anymore. I mean, this stuff is flying off the shelf because people are saying, oh, I get it. Okay. Now, let's go through this. First, let's talk about Trump. Trump and Tucker. Wasn't that wonderful? Tucker, great interviewer. Why? Let Trump speak. Let him speak. Brilliant, number one. Number two, ask him to follow up on a few things when need be. Oh, another pollen alert. What the hell am I supposed to do with a pollen alert? Anyway, let him speak. Let him speak. Yesterday, seeing the mugshot of Rudy Giuliani was disgusting. Jenna Ellis, best mugshot ever. You know who had the best mugshots ever? Rush Limbaugh, Ken DeLay, John Gotti, and Jenna Ellis. How are you? Beautiful. I don't particularly care for her style or her message. I do not. Anybody who cares their religion, anybody who throws out their religion as a means for me to vote for them, and in the blood of Jesus. Wait a minute, hold it. Stop. In Allah, you notice how people say, hey. Keep religion to yourself if you want to make it politically. Look, you may not like that. I don't really care one way or the other, but that's the way that goes. But seeing Rudy Giuliani in that mugshot is disgusting. Now, issue number one. It's only John McLaughlin. Issue number one. When do you think people are going to be talking about last night's debates more? Now, today. Who's turning himself in today? Trump. So say goodbye to this. What Trump loses me, and this is important. We got to talk about this because remember, I say it the way it is. If somebody says something that's stupid, I tell you. I don't care who it is. If it's Trump, if anybody else. When Tucker Carlson said about Bill Barr, I said, Bill Barr believes, and Tucker is right on the money, that he said that he believes that Epstein committed suicide. They asked Trump, well, do you think he did? He goes, I don't know. Maybe he did. Wait a minute. Hold it. What? You know they whacked him. I know they whacked him. Everybody knows. What are you talking about? So you know what that makes me think? Gotta be honest. Why are you kind of seeing this? Why are you not coming on and pointing out the obvious? You don't have anything to worry about, do you? Regarding Epstein? I mean, you knew who him and everything, and see that's the whole reason why Epstein is Epstein. See, this is the whole thing. I did a piece. I hope you saw the video. They're basically explaining. There's two things I did yesterday. One, you've got to see these. They're very, very important. And it's called What Nobody Gets About Jeffrey Epstein. They don't get it. And I also said something in order. I said, what people don't get about chronophilia or pedophilia. What people don't understand. It's a new series called What People Don't Get. What you don't get. What nobody is called What Nobody Gets About. And what I miss these things. They don't really understand this. But the first question I'm going to have is, excuse me, President Trump, why are you saying this? If I didn't know better, I'm thinking you're saying the official line because you have to say that, because you feel like this is important, this is critical somehow, that you repeat, that you say the official line. Does that make sense to you? Why are you saying, well, I don't know, maybe he committed suicide? Come on. Which makes me because that's what Jeffrey Epstein's about. Jeffrey Epstein is about blackmail. Jeffrey Epstein is about extortion. Jeffrey Epstein, that's exactly what Jeffrey Epstein's about. It's not about pedophiles. And a lot of these girls, they might have been underage, but I don't think there were like children there. Maybe. These were masseuses and, that kind of stuff. And I'm not in any way countenancing any of that. But when you normally talk about pedophile, sound of freedom stuff, because that word has been used to speak of children, which is one of the reasons why I'm saying stop using this term. So that's number one. But when you watch Trump, wouldn't you want him to say, wow. And by the way, his suits are so well tailored. It covers his significant girth. This is a big guy. Trump's like 6'2", 6'3". This is a big guy. And he could weigh 280. He could be close to 300 being a big guy. And when you see him play golf, you think, wow. But with his suits so well tailored, so he really looks good as well. They're always dark, looks very good. He also has not aged. Now you're going to say, look, he's had some work done. Okay, fine. Had the orange skin. Okay, fine. All right, fine. He looks the same, though. Biden's had work done. He's getting worse. So Trump has this kind of this perpetual youthful thing. Okay, now let's talk about what's going on. The winner, the actual guy who was great last night that nobody will ever talk about, is Ron DeSantis. Why is that? Ron DeSantis started off with nothing. He was good as dead. They were basically telling Ron DeSantis, don't even bother. Don't even show up. You are so far gone, so dead, so through, so finished with the memes. Fox abandoned you. Everybody abandoned you. You suck. Okay. So he went in there with no expectations. He answered the questions the best. Of that group, the guy who actually could handle questions better, remember, Xi Jinping dealing with Putin. Oh, you notice who? And now they're going to pin Prigozhin on Putin. You know that, right? You knew that was coming. Anything happens, he did it. Nikki Haley, we'll get to her in a moment. Oh, she's got it all figured out. Conspiracy theories? Oh. But anyway, Ron DeSantis went in there. He actually sounded good. Now, let me see if I can explain this to you. And let me see and I know you know this, but let me see if I can explain this to you. Let me see if I can make this make some sense. If you're looking at these debates as a casting director for a movie, or somebody that you want to be your friend, or somebody that you think is cool, or somebody that you like, or if that's what you're doing, you're missing it. I promise you. There's about, I'd say, 10 political commentators, I'm not going to mention their names, social media and others, good people who are children, who have the political acuity of a thimble, of a dart, who know nothing about the big picture. I'm sitting here saying, how is this going to work? I'm thinking elections. They're thinking, who's the coolest? Yelp, this 5 was great. TikTok, fast. Now, I said, what about tomorrow? I don't think tomorrow. I don't know anything about elections. Right now, imagine, let's assume think about this, you've got an undecided, and I keep telling you this, if you don't think about undecided, it's the only thing people will care about. Died in the world. Well, but it's a little bit different because maybe there's a Christie supporter. Okay, nobody is supporting Chris Christie. Let me just get this out of the way. Let me oversimplify it. Chris Christie is not there to win. Chris Christie he knows he's not going to win. Chris Christie knows I'm going to get a hell of a lot more money at my age going on TV and to show that I've got it. And he's good. He's a smart ass. He's like a Don Rickles kind of, he'd be good like on the Stern show or one of these, Andy Cohen, Real Housewives kind of you know what I mean? He's mean. He'd be if Dean Martin did the roast again, he'd be doing that. That's what he's really good at. He's great at that. He's pissed at Trump because Trump, I forgot what it was. There was something where Trump is funny. Trump will turn you. You turn on me one time, I'm done with you. I'm done. And that could be X, Y. Who knows? He's just done. Surprise, surprise, a lot of people are too. And he did something a while back. It was when he came out in the media and trashed Trump. That was it. He also prosecuted Jared Kushner's father. And that's a story. Oh my God. And you'll understand why if you read the story or you read the allegations, to be fair. Allegations could be wrong, so we don't know. So he's got, I don't want to use a terrible term, but there's an erectile term. It rhymes with lard on for they're just done with Christie. Another thing you got to realize with Trump is when you work with Trump, if you try to go beyond him, you're done. You're finished. That's what Rudy did with Bill Bratton. You don't remember this. Bill Bratton was a police commissioner. When Rudy came in 94 or whatever, I don't remember. But anyway, he came in. A couple of things happened. Number one, crime was terrible. So Rudy utilized some incredible talent. Bill Bratton, who was married to Ricky Gleeman, as Robert Klein would say. Bill Bratton, this guy named John Timoney, who was just he looked like an old fighter. John Timoney, Anemone was the cop. Jack Maple was famous with a bowler hat. People said he wore spats. He wore spectator shoes. Anyway, he was very bow-tied and quite the dandy. And they got together and they had this thing called ComStat and these meetings where they held individual precincts accountable. And they did something, they used computer statistics, they did all this stuff. When the crime rate dropped precipitously, there was a Time magazine article, and it was Bratton in the front and Rudy in the back. Bratton also used to go out to Elaine's when Elaine's was Elaine's. It was the hotspot place. And if you weren't in, forget it. But if you were an insider, Elaine would kiss your ass. But if you were somebody, forget it. Food was lousy. Everybody swore, I went to Elaine's and I was best friends with Elaine. You can have Elaine. But anyway, So Bratton was like Mr. Nightlife. Rudy wasn't. Rudy was, well, Rudy said, I'm the boss. I'm the boss. You're out. So a lot of people do this. And a lot of people are so happy that Rudy was charged in that horrible picture because mobsters, people he worked with, people that he ruined, so they say, people, Ivan Boesky on a perp walk, come on. Milken, remember this when Rudy was out of control. Okay. Trump's kind of like that too. So if you want to be his VP, you better understand he's the boss, not you. Mike Pence was perfect because Mike Pence was, by the way, Mike Pence doesn't even cast a shadow. He doesn't exist. Mike Pence is invisible. I'm sorry to say this. He's okay. So watching Trump and Tucker was really good. Also goes to show you Twitter's the way to go. I'm watching this. That's the future. You can watch all that. Brett Baer, Martha McCollum, boring. Oh my, what is John Cameron Swayze busy? Boring. You've got to be kidding me. You're still doing the two. And now let's go. I forgot to say. And now let's go to somebody from American Students. Okay, Timmy, you're going to ask the question. Okay. Hey, Mom and Dad, yeah. Listen, I'm going to be asking the question. Okay. Let's go to Timmy from America's Youth or whatever it is. And here's the question. The number one issue to most young people is climate change. What do you have to say? Now, you know it took everybody on that. Everybody. Say, who? I guess this is important. Why did you pick this guy? Climate change. That may be the number one. And by the way, in all candor, it is number one concern. This is something that these folks better take into consideration and recognize the fact that this is a big deal. Whether you like it or not, it's a big deal. It's the most stupid thing in the world because yes, the climate does change. Time changes, wind changes, a lot of things change. The question you should be asking is there an anthropogenic causation factor? And is there anything that we can do to change this? Is there anything that we can do, that mankind can do? And I think Vic said something to the effect, it was sort of whatever, he being the millennial or whatever his thing is, whatever his designation is. His whole thing was to tell you, I'm the smartest one up here. I'm the billionaire. I'm the smart guy. I talk the fastest. And he had such contempt. The smiling and the snide laughing. He didn't take it seriously. What he should have said was, and you've got to understand, the GOP has to come up with, formulate some kind of answer for this. And he did talk about carbon, whatever is the wet blanket. I don't know, some phrase like that. But the bottom line is simply this. And listen to me carefully. Do you really believe, you got to ask yourself, that Vic really wants to be the president? Now, let me explain this to you. I don't mean somebody who says, I want to be the president. Okay, and now I want to be king of the world. No. Do you think he wants to be in the pantheon of the greats? On some wall? Does he want to go on Air Force One? Does he want to live for the rest of his life in prison? It's called the prison of the White House. The White House is the dreariest place you have ever been in. It's dreary, it's cold, it's not nice. It's like a bad museum. There, you don't ever feel like, what's this? No, I mean, it is what it is. And you can't do anything anymore. And for the rest of your life, do you really want to do that? Okay. Do you think, Vic, you can sit next to Erdogan, Some people who are so they will eat your 38-year-old arse up and spit it out. You think you're going to be able to sit? Do you know what Xi Jinping? Do you know what his story is? And he's looking at you, and they've got this thing about respecting elders. Do you really think so? No way. Vic wants to be Vic. He wants to be, I'm the Wunderkind. I'm the 38. I'm a young guy. I'm playing tennis. Got a hell of a forehand, by the way. I'm playing tennis. I'm doing my thing. I'm a billionaire. I am so cool. I laugh at you with contempt. I make fun of you. That's what it's all about. In fact, Raul Rodriguez says Vic just came out of obscurity. To an extent, he did, Raul. To an extent, he certainly did. But he doesn't understand this. He's looking at this as being some kind of a, I don't know what the word is. He is just some kind of a, flavor du jour. He lives in a world of social media and TikTok. He's a meme. Now listen, whether you understand this or not, I don't really know. I don't really care. I'm telling you, you better understand something here. To be the president of the United States is really, really crazy. What are you going to do when you have to deal with? By the way, did you hear Nikki Haley? Nikki Haley has absolutely, Nikki Haley, Pompeo, Chris Christie, they have this idea. And I'm sorry, but I come from my school of thought is more in line with Colonel McGregor, our friends at the Duran. Judge Knapp has been doing some excellent stuff. It's realpolitik. It's realism. And Mearsheimer is my god when it comes to Ukraine. John Mearsheimer is it. He's it. Everybody else. McGregor is good because, did you hear what McGregor's interview with Tucker was so terrific? Did you hear little things? Let me just stop for a second. Some of the aspects of warfare from somebody who's done it, it's fascinating to hear. He says, the tanks, when he graduated, I think he was in a tank command or something when he was from West Point. He said the tanks that we had were brand new. They're still in existence. What they did was they refurbished them or refitted them with, interestingly enough, turbines. And turbines eat up a lot of gas, build up a lot of heat, have to be replenished, and are able to be picked up on radar like you can't believe, compared to electric diesel, blah, blah, blah. And I found that to be fascinating. I found that to be utterly, truly, absolutely fascinating. A most fascinating perspective. That's something that he would know. So we're not able, when we talk about our military command, we don't have this. He says, when you're talking about discipline and you're talking about people, according to him, according to McGregor, the Russians have lost about 40,000, 50,000. Ukrainians, 400? I'm thinking, this can't be. Did you hear these numbers that we've been pouring into this? I mean, nobody knows anything about this. So Nikki Haley represents the kind of like somebody in the National Forensics League who kind of memorized the message but doesn't really understand what she's saying. And I'll tell you what, I know you're going to laugh at this because Tucker would be he understands things more in my line of realism. And let me say this again. Where's Bobby Kennedy? Where's Bobby Kennedy? I wouldn't be surprised if somebody got to him. Somebody said, leave now before it gets too deep. You had your fun, you had your time, and you can pretend, but Gavin Newsom's going to be the guy, not you. Understand this? Gavin Newsom's the guy. Now, you can say whatever you want about Trump. Imagine Trump deals with Kim Jong-un. Or Il or Un. I get them all confused. Un. Young man. And Trump to this day talks like a hostage negotiator. It's brilliant. He says, this young man, he inherited a lot. He's very smart. Blah, blah, blah. Imagine Vic. What's Vic Ramaswamy going to do? People roughly the same age, approximately, and he's going to lean over. And now you've got two people who are... Vic Ramaswamy doesn't have the maturity, the gravitas, the sobriety, the serious. DeSantis has it better. You're talking about the President of the United States. You're talking about somebody who's able to sit across and say, let me explain to you. I can work with you. I can understand what you're doing. I can understand this. And already he started off, I thought this was nice. He said right off the bat, I'm going to pardon President Trump. Okay, that's fine. Without anybody prompting you, you're immediately announcing to the world you're going to cut aid to Israel. Now, let me explain something to you. I don't care whether you like this or not. I don't really care. Whatever your thoughts are, you might, settlements, and you can think whatever you want. Do you know how stupid that is? Do you know how stupid that is? At this stage, this unforced error, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? I don't understand. And he talks a lot. And let me give you this one. This says it all. This goes to show you, this is Vic, that everybody loves, playing this game that only works in social media. Okay? It only works in the world of social media. He came up with his 10 truths. God is real. This is this 38-year-old Harvard, Yale billionaire. God is real. There are two genders. Human flourishing requires fossil fuels. Okay. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is no border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind. Okay. Capitalism lifts people up from poverty. I would think so. There are 3 branches of the U.S. government, not 4. The U.S. Constitution is the strongest guarantor of freedoms in history. And as I wrote, he left out the following. Rainbows are most beautiful after a rain. Good is better than bad. And a smile is a frown turned upside down. Now, if you can't see through this phony baloney stuff, I can't help you. If you don't see this guy is playing, he is patronizing, he is absolutely dropping to the lowest, most simplistic level, treating you like the prole and the jadrul he thinks you are. He thinks he's going to outsmart you. God is real. Where is that in the platform of a U.S. president? God is real. Let me explain something which is very, very important. Number 1. Religion is guaranteed by the First Amendment. Religion is an important aspect. Religion is good. God is good. Songs are good. People are good. God is good. God is good. Okay, fine. Thank you. This romper room. The First Amendment provides for 2 provisions. Number 1, the free exercise clause, which basically means that you can do whatever you want. Congress is not going to interfere with the free exercise, provided it's not things like smoking weed in the old days if you're Zion Coptic, or using peyote. That's a different story. But for, Christians, you could drink wine during the prohibition. And also the Establishment Clause. This is where the government does not basically endorse, ratify, or state the existence of any particular religious system. Okay? Now, You may not see that. I can tell a president should be able to, and since the beginning of time, there have been people who are deists at best who have referred to the firmament, and there are people who use, some are very, very devout, other people use it. Sometimes, as you know, in our culture, we see things like, God bless you, achoo, God bless you, or goodbye, which is the truncation of God be with ye. I understand it. In God we trust. I got it. Do not inject this right off the bat by trying to placate us by showing us, Vic, that you're some super, you're the family guy and the nuclear family and capitalism and God and apple pie and having dinners and sitting around and playing Scrabble. Okay, stop it. He's not serious. He wants to be Vic Ramaswamy. Now, here's what's going to happen. His numbers are going to go like this because he came out of the blocks. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You got that. Nobody expected DeSantis to do well. He did much better. DeSantis has done more, actually more for you, whether you like it or not. He has done more for what I believe you would stand for than anything you can imagine, up to and including things like, well, a lot of the teachers in Florida hate him. He basically decimated their union. I know people love that. They think that's great. The best thing he ever did was he removed 2 prosecutors, 2, who basically were Soros, lackeys, and he did this. I don't know if anybody's ever done this. I will never forget, or be able to thank him enough for having the countenance or the power to do that. That is unheralded. That is unheard of. That is unbelievable. If there's one thing for you to vote for Ron DeSantis, that's it. Nobody else will do this. Ron DeSantis makes some weird gestures when he speaks. Ron DeSantis, there are people, and God forbid. There are people in the social media world that are so imitatable, who have the weirdest pronunciation patterns, physical looks, weird things, who are pointing out that DeSantis is weird. Look, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go in the bathroom when we're done, turn the light on, this helps. I want you to look in the mirror. And you tell me, do you think you are the model, the standard bearer for pulchritude and sexiness and beauty? Are there any deformities, any things that you do, any habits, any expressions, any weird words you pronounce, anything that you do, the way you clap, the way you laugh, the way you sneeze, the way you might go like this when you laugh? Everybody does. Everybody. But we live in a troll society. We live in a society where people just make fun of people. I mean, make memes and GIFs. And once the GIF or the meme starts, as in the case of Ron DeSantis, that's it. Tucker is particularly vicious. Now, I will be the first one with you to be as petty and as, but I'm not running for office. Tucker, by the way, used to love to make fun of Brian Stelter. Remember Tater? And Brian's, his voice apparently was very high pitched. Now, not everybody is able to have this Robert Goulet-like baritone as I do. So consequently, I'm very, understanding of this. But Tucker laughs like the Amadeus character. Remember that laugh in I mean, it's like nobody's business. So I would really hesitate not to do this. Another thing too is they're talking about Christie's weight. And I know one guy on radio here locally said he's a fat slob. I said, be careful. We live in a world of fat slobs. And by the way, one thing, did you know that Chris Christie, believe it or not, Chris Christie had bariatric surgery? Did you know that? And okay, fine. Did you know that Chris Christie's BMI is higher than William Howard Taft? Okay, fine. Now that we get that out of the way. What? What are you going to do? See where we live right now? It's all about looks. But listen, to be fair, during the first debate that really mattered, Nixon looked like he just robbed a bank. Eyes darting. He had no idea about the medium. He didn't know about makeup. They didn't have this makeup. They had this makeup because he had a 5 o'clock shadow or something. They had this makeup that made you look white. He also wore like a blue suit, which didn't work. And he was also coming off, he had a fever. Kennedy, who had been out in convertibles and looked sunny in his suit, he said, "Oh, I don't want any makeup." Nixon heard him say this. "Well, I don't want any makeup either." But Kennedy got makeup. I mean, he was just smart. Plus, he knew what he was going to do, and he got it. Vic wants to be the smart ass. But here's the thing. You can say what you want. Today, people are going to, up and until Trump turns himself in, remember, that's when it all changes. They don't care. Vic is going to enjoy this kind of a troll children's social media push at first. But the real folks who were involved, the ones who were the moneymakers, the ones who control things, because Vic's not going to finance this thing by himself. I got news for you. They're also going to tell Vic, okay, Vic, here's how it works. This is how it works. You understand this, Vic? You've been in investment banking and biotech. You're going to understand how this works. Good. We're going to show you how this works. We're going to allow you to pretend that you know what you are doing. We're going to allow you to pretend that you are in charge of that. You're an independent and all this stuff. We're going to allow you to do this, and you're going to enjoy the warmth today. Check out National Review's take on this. National Reviews are kind of more of a staid. They're more a paleo-conservative. Bill Buckley look at things. They're very, very good. It's an interesting take on that. Watch how that thing works. I want you to also recognize the fact that we do not need. By the way, Liz Solak, bless her heart, she's so right. I need 400 likes. This is ridiculous. Liz, you're 100% right. I need 400 likes. What's going on with this? What's going on with this? What's going on with this thing? I don't understand this. You know how this thing works. You know how this thing works. By the way, I saw another picture from some fire. Did you see a fire tornado? It's you know, I talked to you about my Patriot, and I got to tell you something right now. This is one of those things where I'm thinking to myself, do you remember when people thought that anybody who dared prepare for any kind of whatever it was, that you were some kind of a lunatic, where you were kind of delusional or something. We're always going, things aren't going to be, yeah, there's a fire here and there. No, I got to tell you something. I would have asked the following questions. Do any of you tonight believe that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide? That tells me everything, number one. Number two, do you ever see the need to reopen, to study, or would you endorse a private kind of a Russell tribunal on 9/11, since 9/11 made it, and since we apparently still don't know what happened, who was involved? What are your thoughts on that? Do you? Number three, what is your thought on climate change in terms of geoengineering? And would you actively support any kind of legislation to prevent and to prohibit or prescribe dimming and solar dimming and the like? Would you? Any of you? Would you? That's the question. Would any of you do you find anything? You see, this is the thing, this is the critical stuff. See, I don't care about all this. Just talk about stuff doesn't matter. How dirty are you going to get with China? What's going on here? What are you going to do about, not fentanyl, But what are you going to do about the people who really run the world? How do you deal with the BRICS ensemble? You realize that the whole world was talking this week about the BRICS convention, the BRICS conclave. Nobody even talks about it. Most people in America don't even know what you're talking about. BRICS. BRICS? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. What? And there's Nikki Haley talking about, you want to get involved in a war with Russia? Do you have any? What do you think Russia is? I don't want to get in a war with anybody. I don't give a damn who it is. China, Russia. Do you think the United States is? And let me tell you something. When something goes wrong and you know what hits the fan, they're going to turn to us and they're going to say whatever. Do you really want Ukraine to be a part of NATO? Anybody right now? You're going to vote for NATO? And under Article 5? If Putin or somebody says, all right, that's enough, I've had it, we go in and they say, okay, they pull the Article 5 chain and we have to what? Send boys to what? Finland? What? Do you have any? We've got people pouring over our border. And you know what Nikki Haley said? Well, we can do both. No, we can't. We don't have enough. Our military is at its nadir. We have people walking around here who are more interested in their sexual proclivities, their predispositions, and whether they're trans, this or that, or some kind of weird. I don't understand what's happening. Military involves the following. And McGregor said this with Chuck. It was so fantastic. You need a sense of discipline, and discipline is what it means. You've got to have people who are training with all the equipment you need. We are still the biggest military in the world, but there's something about, it's more than that. It's an idea of like, don't mess with them. It's a very brutal world. It's a very brutal world. I don't want to conduct any kind of social experimentation on this. If women can serve in combat, great. If they can't, sorry, have a nice day. If you think sending the word, we're dealing with people. I don't care who it is. I want to find out who is the best, the most savage, the most effective, and the scariest military force. What is that person? If we're going to be dealing with a bunch of people, we got to scare them. And if we have a bunch of people, color me pink, color me with studded this and that, no. You don't have a social experiment, not with military, not with war. This is a brutal thing. Look at these people. The next time you see Todd or somebody, my pronouns are, imagine them squatting in some kind of a ravine, eliminating waste in a field in their helmet with other people as they are forced to go 6, 7, 8 weeks maybe without bathing. I mean, the worst conditions possible. Can these people, and I don't mean, and you better not lower SEAL standards, Ranger standards, Special Forces, whatever it is. If you've always thought that you're going to be able to run 20 miles, you got to run 20 miles. And if you are somebody with pink hair and study, no, fine, do it. You're in. But if you can't, that's it. Because somebody somewhere, if I didn't know better, wants to destroy our fighting force. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Mr. Silver Fox, who says, what amazes me is the following. With 330 million people in this country to choose from, are these the best we have? One would think there would be more and better ones to choose from. My 2 cents. I like that. Mr. Fox, I agree with you. But we've always said that. I'm sorry, but to an extent, in order, Mr. Fox, for us to do this, and again, I thank you immensely for this. In order for this to happen, you got to ask yourself, what kind of a lunatic would want to run for office? Number one. Within the party caucuses and party pavilions and party groups, you have people who have to come forward, and they kind of decide, okay, who can work best with whatever. Trump is an anomaly. Trump, you will never see again. So whatever you think about him, you're only going to think this one time. I can't say this enough about realism. realism. Do you know that what Trump got North Korea? Let me tell you, there was a guy, please let me give you his name. It's University of Chicago, Korean expert. He is the best. His name is Bruce Cummings. Cummings, guys. Bruce Cummings. Listen to Bruce Cummings. And he is the Mearsheimer, University of Chicago too, but for North Korea. North Korea is a garrisoned country. If I recall correctly, mandatory conscription, 10 years versus 7. They have the same number, and please, this is all from memory, but roughly, they have the same number of active military as we do. And their country is like, what? I mean, it's like percentage. They are a garrison country. They have mountains ready to go with planes, jets, hospitals. It is this perfect. You can't find a better silo. They are ready for the big one. And what you do is what we have done. He's crazy. He's a nut. No, he's not. We do this all the time. He's crazy. Putin's crazy. He's nuts. He's a kill. This is what we do all the time. We don't learn. We don't learn from this. I want to know specifically, not what Nikki Haley thinks. What do Russians think about Putin? What do Koreans think about him? What do these people think? I do not want to hear from anybody else. I do not want to hear from anybody else regarding specifically how do I say this? I don't want them to, I don't know what you're going to miss, how we create this weird kind of a disrespect in cultures and in people who thrive on this. Ladies and gentlemen, Raul Rodriguez says Trump is the cowboy that kicked the doors of a saloon. I think, yes, I think you're correct. Or kidded. Maybe that's a phrase, I don't know. Now, let me explain something about, and thank you. I'm going to give you an example of something. There are some things that I don't know what people think or don't think. Doesn't really matter. I'll give you an example of something. Let me give you an example. Years ago, when hip hop and rap came about, a lot of folks, Quincy Jones, MTV, they didn't get it. They didn't get it. They did not get it. If I ran this, if I were Clive Davis, I would say, is this popular? Yeah, go. You know this new country? Yeah, go with it. What? Because they like it, go with it. I'm a George Jones man right there. See that? There's George Jones. He's the best. He's the greatest. That's me. They don't want to hear George Jones. That's me. Forget what I think. I'm going to go what people think. That's Trump. Trump just does it. In the 80s, 90s, whatever, Lower East Side. Remember this Lower East Side? Who was it? The Ramones. The Ramones suck. I thought. They love them? Fine, go with the Ramones. Debbie Harry? Talking Heads? Never got it. David Byrne? Don't get it. They love him. Sign him. Forget what I think. Forget it. I don't care. Trump works. Trump connects. I don't know why. I don't care. He just does. I'm not going to explain to you why. I don't understand why. He just does. There's this thing. Do you know that spam is still big? You know how spam is loved around the world? Loved. Loved. I don't even know what the hell spam is, but it's loved. That's good enough for me. Loved. Trump is spam. Trump is the Ramones. Trump is whatever he is. I don't know. I don't care. And the first thing I want to do is I want to ask a bit. Let me explain something to you about knowing how people work. And listen to me carefully. Everybody's got these certain. I love when you talk to people from different countries. One of them is that French. The French, not all hate people. The French get a bad rap, but when you go to Paris, the worst thing you can do is to walk in and pick his like, hi, how are you? Terrific. Can I help you? No, it's all right. They want to kick your ass and kick you out. First of all, you didn't say bonjour, you didn't say hello. You're coming into their shop and you're picking their stuff up and you're not asking for help. Now you're doing the American thing. What do we do in the store? No thanks. Leave me alone. Sorry. Forget it. I'm all right. Leave me. Just get out of here. Get out of here. They don't do it there. They don't do it there. Japanese, I love these people. I'm thinking this might be my perfect, because I want to live in a super polite society. You talk in the subway and I think they'll indict you. You blow your nose for you to put you put it back in your pocket. Get rid of this thing. Eating on the street, you got to go around the corner and hide. And I love this. I love rules. I love etiquette. Bowing. Oh my God. Keep your mouth shut. Keep it down. I love it. They love tradition. And I'm going to go, if I went there, I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to tell you something. This is your country. I'm an outsider. I don't want you to do anything special for me. Not that you would. You want to marry within Japanese? I got it. I'm not going to marry anybody, but the point is, hey, I got it. I respect you. I respect you. Love it. That's the way that's the way they think. Not us. Not us. We have people defecating in the street. Can you imagine that in Japan? No. No. I remember one time there was a I'll never forget, years ago, I was in the police academy. And we're talking, we're all giving lectures or stuff. And this guy happened to be there from some Japanese prefecture or something. I don't know. I'll never forget this. They said, well, what do you do with juveniles? They said, well, the worst thing we can do. Yeah, what's the worst thing you do? This should be good. Remember how vicious the Japanese always were in World War II, the fingernails and the bamboo and all this stuff. Remember the famous glass rod and anyway. They say we bring the juvenile to the neighborhood. We pull up. The neighbors come out. They're saying, what's going on here? We take the juvenile from the back of the cruiser or the whatever. Not handcuffed. And we let him go in front of everybody. And they are disgusted. And they all come out and turn their back and go back inside. And it's a fate worse than death. And we're looking around like, can you imagine doing that here? That's the way these people think. So that being said, years ago, when George Herbert Walker Bush was talking about Saddam, the way somebody told me one time, means shoeshine boy or something along those lines. The shoe, the foot, is considered to be filthy and disgusting. So that was number one. Number two, George Herbert Walker said, I'm going to put my foot to you. He didn't say I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to put my foot to you. And I thought, turns out that was a signal. Bottom line is this: when you're dealing with people around the world, and you're going on and you're going to deal with Putin, or you're going to deal with Xi Jinping, or you're going to deal with do you want Netanyahu to sit there and perhaps maybe educate Vic Ramaswamy? Can you imagine Netanyahu said, yeah, close the door. Let me talk to you. Let me tell you what we've done. Let me tell you something. so that you don't think you're wasting your money. I'm going to tell you stuff that nobody else knows, but you might as well know this. I mean, do you really want this? You remember the expression, what the doctors say, first do no harm? In realpolitik, it's at first piss nobody off. Don't go out of your way to say anything about anybody. Right now, there is something going on right now with Niger and Africa that is so unreal. Go look at any other international news service, and that's all they're talking about. What are we talking about? I like the way Chris Christie yelled at him. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. So Vic Ramaswamy starts off with, God is real. Thanks, Vic. This is so complicated that I don't think most Americans, including Nikki Haley, can understand. So we're going to talk more about this. Let me also thank you. Please, please, please. Thank you, of course, for watching and listening and doing all this stuff. Let me also tell you right now, please follow Mrs. L. You've been terrific. She's got some great stuff. If you're a parent, you got to watch her YouTube channel at Lynn's Warriors. And her X or Twitter channel, I can't say X, at Lynn's _Warriors. And let me say this again to you. Can't say it enough. Can't say it loud enough. If you have any doubt as to the necessity, what you can do to and why you should prepare in the event of God knows what, go to preparewithlionel.com. Go and look. Only use this link. Only. I don't want you ever, whether it's this or my pillow or anything, don't you ever use anybody else's link. Don't let me find out. Preparewithlionel.com. Look at this. Whenever I talk to people, they'll say sometimes, I got a fishing pole. Somebody actually told me they have a fishing pole. Really? Ask the Lahaina people. Do you have a fishing pole? I got a, yeah. Do you have any food? No. 25-year. Again, I'm overselling it. It's like one of these, hello. I mean, anyway. So that's that. You have a great and a glorious day. We will see you this evening. Oh, by the way, one more thing. Remember, for the good stuff, and I hate to say it, you got to go to lionelmedia.com and sign up for that. Because I can say a whole hell of a lot more about Nikki Haley and everybody else that would not be in any way appreciated. Because it's true. Remember, the stuff that will get you in trouble today is the truth. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. See you tonight at 7 p.m. And until then, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.